Good morning, folks. Good morning. This is Spirit Journey. Today is Friday, July 24, 2020, and the time is about 8:48 a.m. Yeah, it's pretty cloudy outside, and I apologize. It's not a lot of light in here, but I'm gonna go for it. Yeah, I'm just relaxing. I'm cooking my breakfast on the stove, and all my little furry friends are with me in bed. So you'll hear them breathing, all this stuff. But they're doing well. All of them are doing well right now. I want to talk about. I'm gonna just kind of just wing it. I want to talk about. What's his name? What's it? How can I forget his name now? The famous singer. And he says he wants to run for president. I want to talk about him. I want to talk about two YouTubers, and they talk about the things that are happening now. I mean, I see that everyone is getting infected by the signs of the times. Even me, especially in April, I was under tremendous stress with this fear of the COVID virus. And part of me was taking it seriously because I had relatives and members of my family that had contacted it, and at least two people who died from it. And I felt vulnerable and afraid. That was this past April. So I knew there was something valid to the virus, but at the same time, I felt that it it was something that was designed to manipulate. Now, people are getting sick, but what's really making them sick, I don't know. And part of me feels that it could have been a bioweapon. Now, people get colds and flus, but they're not walking around with masks on in the U.S. But now everybody's wearing a mask, and now everyone's like afraid of each other. We have to stand apart. Blah 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 blah. I think a lot of things are at play, but they're using the virus scare to manipulate and to, in my opinion, this is my opinion, speculation, I don't know, but it's just my feelings. I feel it's to entrap people, to force people to stay indoors. I feel that it's to make people afraid of each other. When you have everybody afraid of each other, and that reminds me of prison. People in prison are afraid. And when people are afraid and enclosed for long period of times, like in prisons and jails, they act out. They act out violence. They bully everybody. It's like the crabs in the barrel are trying to get out at any means necessary. And if it means to step on top of each other in the barrel, they'll do that. And so it's creating that environment. And so people are acting foolish. People who are, people are doing anything. And they're just acting out. So let's see. Well, I just saw on this channel. I don't like giving names of YouTubers in general. They're big channels out there. But one person that I've been he talks about Jeffrey Epstein. He's like an investigator, news person. He has a lot of books on crimes that happen. And he was interviewing a young woman, and this woman um, was human trafficked, sex trafficked. I don't know how old she is, but she's young. Um, I mean, I think she's over 18, but still, she's young. And they showed pictures of her. She was beaten up. Um, Black eye, she's a Caucasian. And they punched her in the face. They said that she has fractures around the eye, the eye socket. Repeated beating. She was beaten when she was 8 months pregnant. And it's an eye opener. And she tried to commit suicide. The person uploaded the video. The person interviewed the young woman who was sex trafficked. They uploaded the video 6 hours ago. So, and they had done, let's see, what's that? Maybe 6 hours even prior to that, the girl was interviewed. So it's an interview with her. She elaborated about her case and things that happened to her, and then someone else, the same channel, uploaded another video on a different topic, and then boom, the video alerting people that the girl that he just tried to had interviewed had tried to commit suicide. Wow. I'm really sorry about all this stuff. It's the signs of the time, and it's showing me. It's that video. It's educating me that not just Black people are hurting, but I see that white people also are being targeted. I mean, it's a whole system, and the system is attacking both races. It's you have someone overseeing this planet, and I think the first target are Black people and indigenous people of the planet. I consider and I believe that Blacks, Australians, indigenous Australians, and the like, we're all indigenous on this planet. And you have newer arrivals or mixed race people who are mixed with indigenous and the invaders of this planet. I know it sounds weird, but I do believe that this country, this planet, has been populated with newer arrivals who have a deep hatred for the indigenous people. And I think that's why you have all this trafficking. Even in the literature with Sumer, they talk about in their literature how people were being used, the indigenous people were being used, and then a race of people were created by them, genetically mixed, of the indigenous and the interlopers to mine for gold. I know it sounds really ridiculous, and when I first heard about that, I thought, boy, this is BS. But there is literature, and the literature came before the Bible. So these are old scriptures / literature documents that came before a lot of the religious material that we read today. And listen to other people, I start to think that they may have a point. Maybe this really did happen. It's a constant theme. There's someone from somewhere else, far away, and then the subjugation of these other people, and so on and so on. And the same theme is happening now. You have people, there's no reason why people have such a deep resentment for Black people, but it exists. And so I think that there's something to this invasion and enslavement of people. I know I'm kind of all over the place right now, but I'm going to try to bring them all together. So you have an early history, and people. You want to get down now, my little doggy. You want to get down? She might be getting outside. Come on. Yeah. Sorry about that. Sorry. Yeah, yeah, she might have been just getting overheated. They're under the covers. All three of my little pooches are with me right now. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Sorry about that. So it just seems to be a constant theme, and I've been trying to find out what's going on in the planet. So I listen to all different types of videos. So here, I'm learning about the human trafficking, such as with Jeffrey Epstein, who allegedly committed suicide a year ago this month, I think it was, or next month. Yeah, it could have been a year ago this month. Um, and you notice that that lady that allegedly was a conspirator with him, Ghislaine Maxwell. You notice that it's like the higher up your criminality, the more protected you seem to be. And there's no photo of the lady getting arrested. There's no mugshot. When she was being arraigned, there was no cameras. But the pretense is the coronavirus. But everybody else gets arrested during this coronavirus. And people, you see cameras and, all that. It's phony. It's like they're using this crisis. No, so I don't know which one came first. Is it that this virus thing was planted because of this Jeffrey Epstein thing to be exposed, and was that the Prince Andrew possible involvement with one of the people, Virginia, I forget Virginia's last name. She's one of the victims of Jeffrey Epstein, and that she was trafficking out allegedly to Prince Andrew, Prince Andrew. So what do they have to? What is the system going to do? Well, they got to protect its buddies. So if you see that there's going to be a leak, you could create a problem. You can create a distraction. So I think this virus, COVID-19. See, I don't want to be afraid to say COVID-19. They're already blocking a lot with my channel. So it's like I don't care anymore. I want to get the information out because I want to enlighten myself and others. I sense something is up. So I think you can create a distraction, create a sickness. You could have it deployed in one location, like in China. And China has a lot of, people do a lot of commerce with China because the labor is very cheap. And the people work in close quarters, and then boom. And it seems like the only places that weren't really affected by this coronavirus were those nations who, so-called third world places. And so, they don't have any involvement with China, so they're not affected. Oops, the camera. Yeah, so it's going to, So they're not going to be affected as much because if you don't have any real connections in the economy with China and all that stuff, so you're more protected. I have to turn off the timer. Stay up there. Yeah, all my three little dogs. Yeah, the timer's going to go off. Yeah, I might just stay at home today. Let me check this. Sorry about that. Yeah. Turn it off. Yeah. I apologize for that. Yeah, I might as well turn on this light. Maybe add some more light in this place. Yeah, it's really, sorry. It's really dark and, yeah, some cameras film better in dark lighting than others. It's very grainy. Sorry. Yeah, so people could deploy a distractant, such as in the form of a virus, and again, not all countries are affected. Those places that don't have strong business with China, so countries in Central Africa, at least early in this virus scare, were not affected. There were no cases of it. So I thought that was really interesting. So how does this all fit in? People are, sorry, people are being infected, and people are having meltdowns. So here, this YouTuber was interviewing a woman, and then she tries to commit suicide. This just was getting to her, and it was right after the interview. And I feel sad because I didn't realize, I'm seeing it more and more now over social media, that how white people are being infected. I guess I didn't really know to the depth how this whole world system. So you know about black people, and many black people are being discriminated against, historically enslaved, being mistreated by authorities. And then when a black person like myself hears about white people being targeted, it's like, really? This could really happen? And there's a whole sex trafficking. And when you hear the words of these women who are being sex trafficked, you see in photos that they were being beaten. I even heard of people being cannibalized. It sounds really sick. But like with the royalty, you hear about these parties over the internet, parties and gatherings, and they're allegedly traumatizing little children for their what they call adrenochrome, cannibalism. I even saw a video. Oh, I forget who did this one. I forget what YouTuber. Oh, it could have been the same man that interviewed the lady, that young woman that tried to commit suicide, about the royal family and how Queen Elizabeth II and her entourage had gone to Canada and went to an orphanage, a Native American Indian orphanage in Canada. You really don't hear that much talk about the indigenous population of Canada. But for whatever reason, she and her entourage wanted to visit a home for indigenous children. There were about 10 of them, and they were never found again. They were to leave with the Queen, Queen Elizabeth II and her entourage, and no one knows where they are. And it was suggested that, they were mentioned about the alleged happenings amongst the royalty. and other royalties of Europe, that they have their gatherings and they have their sex parties, they do the drugs, and they kill children and eat them. I know this sounds really wild, and it's like I don't want to believe it. I don't want to believe it. But I start thinking, because now you're hearing the same thing over and over again, and you hear about the Pizzagate, right? What's that all about? Same type of thing, human trafficking, kidnapping children, and then you never find them again. And then the weird art that they do. So I start to think, I think they're onto something. I think that these things are really happening. And it's a network of stuff that seem to be happening all over. That seem to be happening all over the planet. It's not just the US, it's all over. What else? It's like a meltdown. When stress is on you that much, you start to have a meltdown. What's his name? What's his name? That singer. He's a black singer, and he's West, Kanye West. That's the name I was trying to think of. Kanye West. Remember, he had a meltdown, what looked like a meltdown a couple of months back. It could have been sometime last year. It was in concert. And then all of a sudden started to mention and outing people by name. And then he's brought to, what do you call it? To the hospital. And then when he gets out of the hospital, he's wearing something weird haircut. Just weird. Now he's back out again. Now he's back in the media, social media again. And he's talking about wanting to be, run for president. Now, nothing wrong with that. So, people in his genre seem disgusted with him. They don't take him seriously, and I wish they show more love to him. Now, something's happening with this guy, and I think what's happening is, see, we all have our breaking point, and I learned that, that he's over a billionaire. He has about $1.5 billion in net assets. I had no idea he was that wealthy. Why is it that when blacks who reach that high, that pinnacle, why is it that somehow something seems to happen that they just kind of, I don't know, it's like they're being owned by something or controlled. It's like they don't represent the black community anymore. They represent something else. And when they start to waken up, I think Kanye West is wakening up. For him to reach that high of wealth, I can only speculate that he might have been exposed to a lot of things. Exposed to secrets, invited to invited to parties, introduced to colorful people, and I think it got to him. And then with the COVID being put out there, and the race riots, he can't take it. Again, he's married to a Caucasian woman from the Middle East. He has children. And I think he's just having a meltdown. When you reach that high, because you know too much, you know a lot, and you can't let on. And so, first he sided with Trump. Remember, he had a meeting with him, and I thought that was unique. that he would support Trump. And then now he's saying he wants to run for president. But for him to run for president, it's you're supposed to have certain paperwork in, and for some states that paperwork it's the deadline is up. So for him to even attempt to do that, knowing that at least some of the states, the deadline is up, for him to still pursue it is, I think, a little unwise. But he can run for president for 2025, and that would be fine. He said he shared in social media that he was diagnosed with what do you call bipolar. Remember a couple of days ago I did that video of that young man, only 21 years old, who was dancing on top of this thing in Times Square, and then he jumps off. He survived the jump. I guess him being in good physical health protected his fall, but yeah, he jumped off 3 stories. And about 3 or 4 months later, he's interviewed by news reporters, and he acted like nothing happened. He showed his wound in his arm. He had a lot of stitches in his arm because it was broken. But he says, "Oh well, I was diagnosed being, I think he could have said bipolar or manic. He was having a manic episode, and he's so happy to be diagnosed." And that's all he said. Remember also in that same video I did regarding him about, like, he said he was watching this billboard, and the billboard he felt was talking to him in his mind. I forget the name of the billboard, but it was one of those one-word things, and it was about, express. I think that's what it's called, express. So he felt that it was saying for him to express himself and to take off all his clothes and to do what he did. He just was cuckoo. So I'm wondering, are all these things related? These billboards, because I mentioned also in that same video about the man who got naked and jumped off this thing in Times Square, that there are technologies, the voice of God machine, and I showed it in that video. And you could just go on YouTube and type in the voice of God machine or devices. And you have 2 people that did a story about it. They were both scientists. And they showed the device that they made. And that it could, I think it works with microwaves, and it bypasses your ear, your cochlea of the ear, and goes directly into the brain, the autosensory of your brain, and you can hear whatever was being said, into that device. So it's going to make you think that you're hearing voices, or it can make it seem like it's your thoughts. What if these these celebrities are being targeted? These black celebrities are being targeted. I'm just wondering, are these black celebrities like a Kanye West being targeted by these new technologies to have them act out, think it's their thoughts? Hey, let's implant in his mind to run for presidency. Okay, because remember, he was on Trump's side and supporting him, his candidacy, his office, remember? So the same person now is going to, I want to run for president, even though it's too late. How did that get in his? Just did someone implant that in his head to be used as a distractor to pull away votes from President Trump? You have people, you have systems who are so much into control that they'll use other people to get their way. I do believe that. I mean, regardless what one thinks about Trump, but people could still exploit his candidacy to pull away votes from President Trump, and even get these black celebrities, put the idea in their heads to become president, right? You could, they have that technology. So I'm mentioning all these things because see, people, other YouTubers, other black YouTubers are talking about the COVID, and they see through it. That is all about control, to control you, to keep you at home, to make you not trust your neighbors or your other family members, just so that they can get their way. So if everybody's afraid, you're going to be they're fighting more. Fighting. People, even some of the whites out there in New York City are acting out. To see white women in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and they're acting cuckoo, lashing out towards other people. And I already shared a couple of videos back. Well, I think this happened in June. It was right after my little dog had got out of the hospital. She had surgery, back surgery. And I went to Central Park, the Ramble, and I talked about this woman. The woman could have been in her 60s, and her dog's head is a giant dog, and my little girl, my Shih Tzu, who you just saw a moment ago, was in her doggy stroller, and the dog's mouth was right by her head. That dog could have bit her in the neck. Never saw this dog, but it was a big dog. And I said, whose dog is this? I yelled out, whose dog is it? Because you don't see anybody. And the lady was situated some distance from me. Oh, that's my dog, he's harmless. And I told her, please move your dog away. And rather than, be apologetic, she said, oh, I have a good dog, and my dog is nicer, excuse me, my dog is nicer than some people. Seem to be implying I'm not a nice person. Your dog is, I had tiny little dogs, and she's acting this way. I remember earlier that at the Ramble in Central Park, the woman Amy Cooper, who said that she was going to call the cops on this guy named Christian Cooper, not related, that one's black, one's white, and it just so happens to have the same last name, but the two entirely different people who don't know each other. And he asked her nicely to put the dog on a leash, and she got huffy. So it's a lot of aggression with people, and they had other things of whites acting out towards me. Crazy. I think with this COVID and their inability to get around as they may want to in the past, and excuse me, a little dust in the air, or this COVID and this COVID is minimizing their ability to their ability to go out as they want to, and then the racial component with the Black Lives Matter, and I think they feel vulnerable and make you think that, oh, black people want to kill white people. If that was the case, it would already happen. We just want to be left alone. Blacks in general just want to be left alone. They just want to live, have their community, and uh, have the American dream. You know, have a house, have health, have education. All these things are happening. So I'm putting all these things together. So you have a Kanye West, who's, I think, having a meltdown, and the system may be influencing him to now want to run for president. Uh, you have the COVID being used to keep people in lockdown, and in some places, if you don't have a mask on, that they'll accost you, they'll carry you off the bus. There's no law, there's no federal law you have to wear a mask in certain establishments, you know, especially if it's owned by the government or the city, you know. But private establishments like private stores, things like that, they can make their rules who comes into their store. But it's putting pressure and stress on people, and people are being afraid. So I think, again, to tie it all in, that you have nations, and they all work together. You have now, what's that? With China, that the U.S. is pulling out. It's closing a consulate here in the States with China. China's just gonna retaliate and maybe have our consulate, if we have any in China, and have them leave. Again, I think this is all to scare us all, and they're trying to elicit a war, I believe. And a great way to try to elicit a war is to have scared people, have people afraid. When people are afraid of their health, they're going to do radical things. And now with the using racism, using blacks being attacked by individuals or police, and showing gruesome things on social media. So that's how I also feel that this coronavirus thing is a ploy to, I'm sorry, okay, it got dark there for a minute. See that? I just mentioned the coronavirus and it's already blocking, darking the screen. So that, well, either way, that it's getting people afraid and then going to use it as an excuse to get people excited. Race wars. Yeah, this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. So they use the form. The formula is, let's harass black people. Let's show them lynched. Let's show them being shot. And so when that didn't work, now let's use the COVID. Let's take away their rights. Let's enforce these vaccines on us. It's really strange, like with this COVID, that it didn't originate with American blacks, but somehow we get hit the hardest here in the United States. Now, a lot of people are being affected of all races, but it's really interesting, people of black ancestry, whether you're English speaking, Spanish speaking, French, Creole, somehow we get hit the hardest, right? I think it's germ warfare being used. They want to destroy us, but they first want to destroy the indigenous people of the planet, but they're also out to get white people too. That is their goal. They want to destroy the whole planet, not just blacks, but now I'm seeing that whites aren't safe either. So they're pitting black and white people against each other because they want us to kill each other. But don't fall for it. That is their goal, the system's goal to have a race war, to frighten you with the disease that, oh, so-and-so's standing next to me, they don't have a mask, oh, let me fight them. It's all to scare you. It's all to just take away your rights. It's to get black celebrities that you know and trust and make them look loony. They want, I feel that they targeted him because he is a powerful force. People would listen to him. So let's not disqualify him, make him look crazy. Or let's even put an idea in his head, I'm going to be president. And then destroy him, have him committed. And then he's stuck there and he mysteriously dies of COVID. Right? It's a world system. And these world systems have such a network, I believe. It's just a belief I have. And they have control over a lot of things, such as diseases. They can create a disease. They can deploy it and use other people to deploy the diseases and then to cause a hatred. Let's now, let's hate people if they come from this part of the world, like Asia. And you had things like that happening. People attacking Asian people. Asian people are dying from this disease also. So why attack them? No one wants to be sick. See, these are people higher up, leaders. And leaders exploit their own people. And I think the same thing is going to happen here in the United States. Look at Brazil. See, they hush-hush on Brazil. But you have masses of people dying in Brazil. It's the largest population of black people in the Americas. But yet, because we don't speak Portuguese, we don't hear a lot about them. But I was curious about Brazil because of its large black and mixed race blacks of Brazil, how they're faring with this COVID. And it turns out that they're dying like flies. And now the president of Brazil has the COVID virus. He tested positive. He said that he started to feel sick and sluggish, and then he got tested. He has it now. He was really cocky before, and he didn't wear his mask. When I heard that news a couple of days ago, I said, wait a minute. I carry my mask or a scarf. Yeah, I'd rather use my scarf. I don't want to use I almost forgot. Okay, they want you to use these masks that are made in these questionable countries. I was just before I came on to do this video, I was watching a video about the masks that are being made. And they're tainted. But they want you to use them. Is this just another ploy now to try to get rid of certain people? Now we're going to be getting certain types of diseases now all of a sudden? I told you a couple of videos ago when I did my Apple video, I entitled it Masks versus Facial Covering, something like that. I had gone to an Apple store to get my laptop repaired. And I brought my scarf, to as a covering. Because I'm sorry, you have to use a mask. Those blue things, those surgical masks. Oh, you have to use that. Some type of, but not a scarf. It has to be a mask. And I told her, hey, you heard about the masks, that they're questionable, that they could be tainted. And if they knew where the source of where they get their masks from, because they said, oh, you can use one of ours. They were handing this out. Now, I love Apple products, okay? So it's not about the store. But I question why, if you have a facial covering, and more of my face, everything was, more of it is covered than using a mask. Why is this? So I'm wondering whether this is also a cover-up to get more people sick. We're going to use these questionable masks.
I pulled up some videos for you.
Oh shit, see that? Did you hear that? I have my interesting. Let me pull this up. I hope you can see that. See, I have a mic. See, that's my computer. I hope it's showing. See that I pulled up some videos for you. Look at that. It popped up all by itself. I hope it got